Good morning. This is Dr.Merina, Associate Professor, Department of Industrial Biotechnology. Today, I am going to explain about the gold nanoparticles. So, in this topic, we are going to know about what is gold and gold nanoparticles, history of gold nanoparticles, and the specific characteristics of gold nanoparticles. And why is the gold nanoparticles are special? We want to know that what are the various types or forms of gold nanoparticles and how to synthesize those gold nanoparticles. Then we'll be seeing the various applications, advantages, disadvantages, and the future challenges of the gold nanoparticles. So we know that gold has always been the one's precious material, and in the periodic table, it is a block D, period 6 element. It is a soft metal that is often allowed to give it more strength, and that because of that, when you're preparing the jewelries, we have to add either copper or bronze to make it more stronger. Otherwise, it very easily it will break. So gold Latin name is Orium. So that's what we are designating as a AU. And it is a bright, slightly reddish yellow, dense, malleable. Malleable means when we can make the gold in a flattened form. Okay. And the ductile. Ductile means when gold will be like transferred in a different form, transformed in a different form like a tube or a wire, it will not is losing its strength. And it is an inert metal. So now we are going to talk about the gold nanoparticles. So here we are designating as a AU as a gold and nanoparticle as a NPS. So one of the special use of gold as gold nano gold or gold nanoparticles. That is nanoparticles of gold dispersed in a fluid that is in water. So when a particle, when it will be like uniformly distributed or dispersed in a solvent, that is called as a colloidal. So gold nanoparticle, another name is colloidal gold. And once the nano-sized gold nanoparticle, like gold, will be converted to the colloidal nano gold, it will be showing either in red color or in blue color. Because we know that the normally gold is in yellow color, right? So the red and blue, why it is based on the size. So gold nanoparticles are most stable among the all metal nanoparticles. The gold nanoparticles are having unique optical, electronic, and molecular recognition property. These properties allow gold nanoparticles to have application in various fields: electron microscopy, electronics, nanobiotechnology, and material science. So the properties and applications. So these are the unique properties are there, no? So all these properties and application of the colloidal gold nanoparticles strongly depend on their size and shape. So the liquid is either intense red color that the last slide will show, that is for the smaller size. So less than 100 nanometer. And if it is a larger particle, it will show the blue color. So the versatile surface chemistry of the gold nanoparticle allow them to be coated with small molecules, polymers, and biological recognition molecules. Like once the gold nanoparticles is synthesized, we can modify its surface as our wish, like as on the applications. So we can attach antibodies, we can attach molecules, we can attach the polymers, okay, and because of that, we can extend the range of applications. So before going to the further studies on the gold nanoparticle, let us know that where the gold nanoparticle has been started. So in 1957, Faraday first synthesized colloidal gold by reducing the gold chloride using phosphorus. And during the 20th century, techniques like transmission electron microscopy and atomic force microscopy enabled the direct imaging of nanoparticles. So now we'll see some special characteristics of gold nanoparticles. So here we can see that gold nanoparticles are chemically inert. This is very important characteristics for the gold. Because of this, we can use gold nanoparticle for in vivo applications, medicine application, biological applications. And these have greater biological compatibility. That means this type of nanoparticles, it will not show any type of side effect when it is going inside the body. Apart from that, it is having the optical properties like plasma resonance or fluorescence and chemiluminescence, having better exhibited by the gold nanoparticles. And because of that, we are having much more applications in imaging or visualizing the cells. So that we can see in the applications part. Gold nanoparticles provide microscopic probes for the study of the cancerous cells. So it will act as a sensor, and that will help for the microscopic analysis. Gold nanoparticles accumulate in the cancerous cell and show the cytotoxic effect. that is apoptosis or necrosis of the specific cell and cell surface, cell specific receptor. So as it can accumulate on the cancerous cell, so if you go some sort of treatment, it will be there only on the cancerous cell. It will not affect the healthy normal cells. So these are the high stability due to the gold sulfur bonds. So as I told the last slide that the surface chemistry, unique surface chemistry. So gold having the special affinity to the sulfur. So gold sulfur, if the making bond with the sulfur, we can attach any type of molecules which will be required to detect the target cells. So why gold is so special? So if you see that, in that we can see that the 5 main points are there. The first one is a bioinert. What is the meaning of bioinert? That means once it is going to the inside the body, that means in vivo applications, it will not show any chemical reactivity. Okay, even though other metal, they may show some sort of side effects, gold nanoparticle will be inert. So that's what we can use a variety of applications. Then readily dispersed. Readily dispersed means once you have synthesized the particle, it will be equally, evenly monodispersed. So how it will be monodispersed, that we'll see in the synthesis sections. Okay. Next we'll see that readily functionalized. That means that because of it is improved surface properties, and that I told you that the sulfur can make bond, and because of this and all, we can functionalize as our requirement. Okay. Next, high X-ray attenuation. It will respond to the X-ray. Readily synthesized. It can be readily synthesized very easily. Mainly, we will be following the chemical methods where we can see that very easily, very simple method we can synthesize this gold nanoparticles. So because of this 5 that unique characters, the applications are gold nanoparticles huge. So that all the properties and applications of gold nanoparticles depends on its size and shape. So in this picture, we can see that once the size is increasing, like small to bigger, even though bigger is also in nano dimension. Okay, the smaller is small nano dimension, bigger is the big nano dimension. So once the size is increasing, smaller one is a red color and the larger one is blue or purple color. Next, we'll know what are the forms of gold nanoparticles are available. Okay, what are the types are available. It is available either in a nanocluster form, okay, because once I told you that it will be going for the, mainly we will be going for the colloidal synthesis like chemical method, where we are joining the atoms, molecules, and then cluster. So nanocluster. Then we'll be getting the nanoshell. Nanoshell means sometimes we have to use for the drug delivery and all. So that time we can use the drug and we will be coated with the nanoshell. So this shell is made of gold nanoparticle. Not gold nanoparticle, it is actually the nano shell. Will be making gold as a shell. Okay, so the shell dimension will be nanometer. Next, we can make the branched one. Okay, so that is a very unique for the gold nanoparticles. Then you can make the nanocube, nanosphere, nanostar. Nanostar means the gold nanostar. So that is having much more application in the cytotoxic activity. And next nanorod. Nanorod having the much more application as a photothermal agent. So what is that photothermal agent? That we'll see again in the applications. So this much the variety of the nanoparticles we can synthesize based on the synthesis protocol. Okay, so there are different type of synthesis methods are there. Here we have picked the main 3 which will be most commonly used in various applications. So first one is the Turkish method, next one the brush method, and the third one is the somolysis method. Turkish method is the colloidal synthesis method, where we are using the precursor as a chloroic acid or any other gold salt. So from where only we are going to take the gold. So when you are taking the chloroic acid, if you see that the gold in this salt, it is having the oxidation state +3. So this +3 has to come to the 0, then only we'll be seeing that gold nanoparticle. So when the +3 will come to the 0 oxidation state, that means that is a reduction. Okay, so we need a reducing agent. So usually we'll be using citrate in a form of sodium citrate, ascorbic acid, borohydrate in the form of sodium borohydrate. So once the particle is synthesized, it is very important because it is a colloidal synthesis method. The colloidal particle having the tendency to aggregate. So once it is getting aggregate, we may get bigger size of particle. So to prevent that, we have to use some stabilizer. That means stabilizing agent. So we'll be using carboxylates, phosphines, amines, thiols, polymers. Apart from that, what we can do, we can use such a reducing agent which can use as a stabilizing agent. Like if you take the citrate, it will use as a reducing agent as well as it will use as a stabilizing agent. So what we have to do, we have to take the small amount of hot chloroic acid and it will be reacted with small amount of sodium citrate solution. And once it will be reacted, the Au plus 3 ions from the chloroauric acid are reduced to neutral gold atom, where the citrate ion acts as both a reducing agent and a capping agent. The colloidal gold will form because the citrate ion acts as a stabilizing agent. Thereby, we can get monodispersed gold nanoparticles, because that's what I told you, that we'll be getting that the nanoparticle will be produced at, it will be readily dispersed. There will be no agglomeration, no aggregation, nothing. This formation of the gold nanoparticles can be observed by a change in color, since small nanoparticles of gold are red and big particles are blue color. The size of the nanoparticles can be controlled by varying the citrate and gold ratio, and apart from that we can change the conditions and we can get the different size of particles. The major limitations of this method are the low yield and the restriction of using water as a solvent. Okay, restriction of water using solvent, where it is like sometimes when you use the gold nanoparticle as a drug carrier and the drug isn't hydrophobic, okay, so that time it is not possible this method synthesize nanoparticle. So we can see the Darkwich method, it is a colloidal method, and what is specific for this method? Here the nanoparticles what will be produced, it will be the aqueous solution. And we can get 10 to 20 nanometer size nanoparticles, and the citrate ions will be act as a reducing as well as chemical agent. So as we are using the same agent, same chemical as a reducing agent as well as chemical agent, so the cost of the production will be less. So we have to take the chloroauric acid and sodium citrate, we have to do the reaction in room temperature, and we have to maintain the pH 5. So if you do this thing, we will be getting the monodispersed gold nanoparticle. So the citrate colloidal nanoparticle which will form, they will be trying to aggregate, but the citrate ion will be covering or capping this nanoparticle, which will make them separate. And this citrate ion will be a very thin layer, it will not affect its size, and it will be loosely bound as a Lewis bond. So the presence of this colloidal suspension can be detected by the reflection laser beam from the particles, and because a laser pointer emits a polarized light, the pointer can be oriented such that the beam appears to disappear. So when the beam from the laser is visible in one view, it is invisible in the view perpendicular to the first. So if you see the mechanism through the Lamé diagram, so first before the addition of the reducing agent, the gold is in solution in the form of Au plus 3. So once we'll give the reducing agent, so it will form the atoms, then the atoms will be joining, we'll be getting the molecules, then the cluster, then will be the nanoparticle. So once the gold, the concentration will increase in the solution, we'll be getting the nanoparticle until the solution exceeds the saturation. So the particles then form in a process, that the process is called nucleation. So at the nucleation, we will be getting the nanoparticle. The remaining dissolved gold atom bind to the nucleation sites and growth occurs. So like that, we'll be getting the nanoparticle, but still if you are increasing, what will happen? So still you will be increasing the gold concentration, like still the reaction is continuing. What will happen? Still the more gold will attach on this nanoparticle, and that is called the supersaturation. In this stage, we will be getting more particle, more bigger size, larger size particle. So where we have to stop the reaction, it is in our hand. Okay, what type of size we want, that is also in our hand. So we can control this chemical reaction as per our requirement. So next we'll come to the burst method. So I told you there is a disadvantage in the Darkwich method where nanoparticles will be in the aqueous solution. So here nanoparticles you can get in organic solvent like a toluene. So this method used to produce gold nanoparticles in organic liquids that are normally not miscible with water. So you are taking usually toluene, which will act as an organic solvent, and where the nanoparticle will be forming. So here also we need chloroauric acid as a precursor and sodium borohydride as a reducing agent, and TOAB, that means tetraoctyl ammonium bromide, will be used as a stabilizing agent. So first what we have to do, we have to take it involves the reaction of a chloroauric acid solution with the tetraoctyl ammonium bromide, and that we have to take that TOAB will be in the toluene. In that we have to add the chloroauric acid. Then we have to add the sodium borohydride as a reducing agent. So if you see the diagram, so if you see that the first one, we have to take the chloroauric acid in the water aqueous solution. Then in that you have to add the TOAB in toluene, and you have to keep, so TOAB in toluene means it is an organic phase, right? So it will be floating above the aqueous phase. Then this solution you have to stir around 2 hours continuously. Then that all the chloroauric acid will come to the toluene layer. Okay. So the TOV will be there as such. Now there is no function of the TOV. Then it will be floating on the aqueous surface. So easily we can separate it. And then we have to add the sodium borohydride. Again, the sodium borohydride will be in the aqueous solution. So again, you have to, this TOV, chlororic acid will be in the upper layer and sodium borohydride will be in the bottom layer. Then you have to stir for those 2 hours, and after stirring, that reaction will be there, and the nanoparticles will come to the toluene layer. So you can easily separate from the upper layer, and if you see under the analytical techniques like same time, we can see the individual nanoparticle which will be covered with stabilizing agent. And the main characteristics of the burst method is here the nanoparticle will be produced in the organic phase, that is in toluene, and there it will be particle size around 5 to 6 nanometer. Next method is the sonolysis method. So here that I told you that the application is very much dependent on the size as well as the shape. So here the sonolysis method where we can get a different shape. So here what we are going to do, we are going to take the chlororic acid solution with, we are taking glucose, and this too we are going to keep under sonication condition. So under the sonication, sugar will be pyrolysis and it will produce the radicals. So that hydroxyl radical will act as a reducing agent. Okay, and this method will be used to get the nano ribbon. Okay, and this ribbon will be with around 30 to 50 nanometer, where the length will be several micrometer. So these ribbons are very flexible and can bend with angles larger than the 90 degrees. So only the that the reagent can and the condition can give more than condition. I can say the reagent, that because of the glucose only, that radical only, hydroxyl radical only, we are getting this type of nano ribbon. And if we change the glucose, replace with the dextrin, we'll be getting spherical nanoparticle even in the same reaction condition. So once the nanoparticle is synthesized, we have to go for the characterization, because characterization is giving the proper idea or proper information like what type of particle it is formed. What type of means definitely nanoparticle, but what is the size, what is the dispersion, what is the size distribution, what is the crystallinity, everything will be given by this characterization techniques. So first we'll go once the synthesis is over, we'll be seeing the color change. That means the red color or the purple color or blue color. So apart from that, after that we have to go for the first analytical technique, that is the UV visible spectroscopy. So the formation of the gold nanoparticles was followed by scanning the solution containing gold nanoparticles at the wavelength range from 400 to 700 nanometer, because usually you know that UV visible spectroscopy means we have to see 200 to 800. But here we are seeing 400 to 700. Why no? Because for the gold nanoparticle, it will show the characteristic peak at 550 nanometer. Plus minus 50 is acceptable. But when they seeing that peak, no, that this is called surface plasma resonance peak, SPR peak, and by seeing the broadened peak or sharp peak, we can come to a conclusion what type of particle it is formed. Next, we'll come to the transmission electron microscopy. By this method, we can see that that capping agent which is coated on the nanoparticle, we can see the structure, we can see the shape, we can see the morphology. And apart from that, we'll be having the X-ray diffraction method. We can see the particle average size. We can see the what type of crystallinity. We can find out the purity by the EDAX analysis. So there are so many techniques are there. By that we can come to know the properties or characteristics of the nanoparticles. Next we'll come to the application of the gold nanoparticles. So once we have synthesized, so first we have to actually find out the application, what application we are going to do. Based on that, we are going to do the we have to finalize the what type of shape, what type of size we want. Then we have to find out the protocol. So after finding the protocol, we have to go for the synthesis, then we have to characterize, then we have to apply for the application. So the gold nanoparticle mainly having the application in the biotechnological field, that means nanobiotechnology field, imaging, that means photoacoustic imaging or X-ray CT imaging, diagnostic, that means the biological or chemical sensing, delivery means not only the drug, it can deliver gene, it can deliver protein also. And that all these things we are going to do specifically for a particular cell, that is called target cell. So once it is going to the target cell for the imaging, target cell for the diagnostic, target cell for the delivery, then we can use for the therapy also. So what type of therapy we can use? We can use for the photothermal therapy or radiation therapy. So gold nanoparticles exhibit a combination of physical, chemical, optical, and electronics properties. So all these four four properties is very much important for these applications. So gold nanoparticle plays a multifunctional role in image and diagnosis diseases, deliver of therapeutic agents like gene drug, administer electromagnetic radiation to disease site. So if you see this, the picture, we have shown that we can deliver the gene, we can deliver the drug, we can target the cells, like we can, suppose we want to see the only the cancerous cell, we can target that, visualize that, and we can go for the treatment like photothermal therapy. So first of all, I told you that we have to tune the sites based on the procedure, then we have to functionalize based on the where we are going for the application. Like for example, suppose we want to detect the liver cell, the functionalization will be one type. Suppose you want to go for the lung cell, the functionalization will be different. So based on the applications, we have to functionalize the cells. Not only that, what work we are going to do, like for the if you go for the diagnosis, like detection, for that functionalization will be different. Suppose we are going for the drug delivery, for that functionalization will be different. Suppose we are going for the treatment therapy, for that also functionalization will be different. So based on the application, we have to choose the functionalization molecule. Then biocompatibility means, that's what I told you, that the gold nanoparticle, it will not show any reactivity inside the body, it will not show any side effects. So after that, these cells we can set into the in vivo application. So as compared to the other metallic nanostructure, gold nanoparticles provide advantage of their simple and first preparation and bioconjugation. This is very important term, bioconjugation. Here only we are combining the different type of biomolecules with the gold. Maybe sometimes with the sulfur, or sometimes maybe directly. Okay, so bioconjugation will help to identify the particular cell. So first application we see that is electron microscopy. So here we are using the contrast agent. So we have seen that when you are doing for the microbiological work or any type of cell related visualizing under the microscope, we are using the dyes, like staining with dyes. So dyes are chemicals which may affect the properties or characteristics of a cell. Okay, so there is the alternate option is the nanoparticles, gold nanoparticles, which will act as a contrast agent. So they can be associated with many traditional biological probes such as antibodies, nucleic acid receptors. Like this is the bioconjugation which is done on the nanoparticles, and because of nanoparticles having various sizes, they can be easily spotted in electron microgram. Gold nanoparticles have gained recent attention as an X-ray contrast agent due to exhibiting a high X-ray attenuation. And it is also having non-toxicity, facile synthesis, and surface functionalization for colloidal stability and targeted delivery. So here in the picture, if you see that the cancerous cell, it is showing that green color fluorescent light. So by that we can identify where the cancerous cells are there. But if you see the black portion, it is not like that there is no cell. There are also cells are there, but that is the normal healthy cell. So it didn't go to the normal healthy cell. It is only accumulated on the cancerous cell. So to understand the whole things, we have to understand how it is improving the cancer diagnosis and the treatment. So we know that cancer is a disease where cells grow out of control, invades, erodes, and destroy the normal tissue. It is a difficult disease to treat and identify. Why? Because we are not able to detect or diagnose very earlier. Okay, so that's what we are not able to treat. So there are many different ways to treating the cancer, such as surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and many others. These methods are effective if the cancer tumor is caught soon enough. So that's what we are dealing. However, these treatments are not effective enough because they do not only target the affected cells, they also affect the healthy cells. Because when we are going for this type of treatment, that healthy cell should support the body. But once we are going for this type of radiation or chemotherapy, they'll affect the healthy cells. So there are no one will be there to support the body. So that's why the recovery percentage is very less. Individuals undergoing chemotherapy frequently report experiencing symptoms like nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, constipation, or diarrhea. Sometimes the chemotherapeutic patient will be having some common side effects like fever and fatigue. And we know that the most apparent and emotionally challenging side effect associated with chemo treatment is alopecia. So it is a medical condition in which hair falls out. So gold nanoparticles as a boon, as a drug delivery system, actually more precisely we can say we can use as a targeted drug delivery system, which will enable unique approaches for cancer treatment. These metal nanoparticles have optical, magnetic, chemical, and structural properties that set them apart from bulk solid with potential applications in medicine. So the gold nanoparticles occur as a cluster of gold atoms up to 100 nanometer in diameter, and because of this size, they have the unusual visible properties as the particles are small enough to scatter visible light. Surface plasmon resonance is the term used by the nanotechnologists in biosensing. By adding conjugated nanoparticle solution to healthy cells and cancerous cells and focusing it under a microscope, shining cancerous cells are observed. Gold nanoparticles are emerging as promising agent for cancer therapy. These are beneficial in diagnosis of cancer due to their photophysical property and optical property. Unlike conventional cancer treatments, the golden nanoparticles approaches uses no toxic chemicals and no radiation, reducing the risk of unpleasant side effects. So this therapy will work on any type of soft tissues like soft tissue tumors like the breast, prostate, brain, skin, head, neck, and cervix. The nanoparticles are designed to convert light into heat, blasting away the surrounding cancerous tissues. Many cancerous cells have a protein that is known as epidermal growth factor receptor, that is EFGR, that will be there all over the surface, while the healthy cells typically do not express the protein as strongly. So by conjugating or binding the gold nanoparticles to an antibody for EFGR, that is we can call as an anti-EFGR, researchers were able to get the nanoparticles to attach themselves to the cancerous cell. So if we add this conjugated nanoparticle solution to the healthy cells and cancerous cells, okay, so now we have our gold nanoparticle having the ligand which will be like exact to the receptor which is there on the cancerous cell. Okay, so if we add and we see the under microscope, the whole cancerous cell will be shining. The healthy cell doesn't bind to the nanoparticle specifically because it is not having that receptor. So we don't want to see where the cells are. Okay, with this technique, if we say only the well-defined cell is growing and the cells are growing, that only the cancerous cell, because the cancerous cell will bound with the gold nanoparticles, and on that we have given the laser, and that because of the laser the gold particles will be. So we can go for the improving cancer treatment with the help of the gold nanoparticles. Gold nanoparticles are non-toxic. With gold nanoparticles we can detect cancer cell and even destroy them without affecting the healthy cells. So next we'll come to the drug carrier. Gold nanoparticles are being investigated as a carrier for the drugs. The administration of hydrophobic drugs which are produced in the burst method that require molecular encapsulation, and it is found that nano-sized gold nanoparticles are particularly efficient in invading the reticoendothelial system. So what we have to do, we have to take the gold nanoparticle, we have to design with the imaging agent, targeting moiety, drug, and the biopolymer coating. So gold nanoparticles for the delivery, we can use for protein, peptides, and nucleic acid. Next will come for the tumor detection. Diseases can be diagnosed through the detection of the biomolecules, characteristics to a specific disease type, and the stage. Detection of the tumor is the functionalization of the nanoparticle with an antibody specific to the tumor antigens, and then detect the nanoparticles by some spectroscopic techniques. So in the cancer research, colloidal gold can be used to target the tumors, and detection was done by ACRS, that means surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy in vivo. To specifically target the tumor cells, PEGylated gold nanoparticle, that means PEG, polyethylene glycol, we have to attach with the gold, and this conjugated we have to attach with the antibody which will be against that particular tumor cells where epidermal growth receptors overexpress. So these the gold nanoparticles are surrounded the tumor cells which provide high emission than the normal cells. So next we'll come to the photothermal therapy. Gold is a good conductor of heat, and gold nanoparticles are able to heat it up by radio frequency. So the heated up nanoparticles would in turn heat the cancer cell and makes it destroy. So once it will come to near the cancerous cell, we can keep the radio frequency, we can increase the radio frequency, and because of that, the temperature will be more and the cancerous cell will die. So the gold nanorods usually will be using, and that will be used as a photothermal agent for in vivo application. So apart from the other form of gold nanoparticle, nanorod will show better result. So the gold nanorods are rod-shaped gold nanomaterials. For in vivo applications, small diameter gold nanorods are used as a photothermal converters by using near IR light due to their high absorption cross-section. Since near IR light transmit through the human skin and tissues, it will not affect the healthy cells. These nanorods can be used as ablation components for cancer and other targets. So what is the mechanism? Gold nanoparticles have been engineered such that their plasmon resonance is tuned to near infrared wavelength, which allow them to absorb and convert this energy to heat, leading to the hyperthermic temperatures of the surrounding material. As a result, gold nanoparticles have received increased attention for the localized administration of hypothermia for cancer cell ablation, and this approach is currently in early clinical trials. Next, we'll talk about the radiotherapy dose enhancer. There has been considerable interest in the use of gold nanoparticles to enhance the dose delivered to tumors. Since gold nanoparticles are taken by the only tumor cells more than the nearby healthy tissues, the dose is selectively enhanced. The biological effectiveness of this type of therapy depends on the local deposition of radiation dose near the nanoparticles. So apart from this delivery or a drug carrier, we can use gold nanoparticle directly for the treatment like rheumatoid arthritis or Alzheimer's diseases. So the rheumatoid arthritis is a disease where use of the gold as a part of the therapy, since it has been found that gold nanoparticles implanted near the arthritic hip joints to relieve the pain. And where in the Alzheimer's disease, the functionalized gold nanoparticles selectively attach to the aggregate of amyloidal protein formed in Alzheimer's disease. So the microwaves of the certain frequency are irradiated on the sample, and resonance with the gold nanoparticles increases the local temperature and destroy the aggregates. So apart from these applications, gold nanoparticles having other applications like it will act as a catalyst in a number of chemical reactions to connect the resistors, conductors, and other elements of an electronic chip. It will act as an antibiotic, antifungal, and antimicrobial agent when added in plastics or coatings or nanofiber and textiles. It will use as a various sensors like colorimetric sensors with gold nanoparticle can identify if the foods are suitable for consumption. Gold nanoparticles are quite dense, thus allowing them to be used as a probe for transmission electron microscopy. To detect the biomarkers in the diagnosis of cancer, heart disease, and infection agents, we can use these gold nanoparticles. Even we can use for the fuel cell applications. So now we can see the advantages. Gold nanoparticle is simple for diagnosis. It is less invasive. It is provide increased contrast for the diagnosis of cancer. It is non-toxic to human beings. It does not photobleaching or blinking, which is inherent to many other fluorophores. And what is the disadvantage? Like optical signal of nanoparticles may not be as strong as quantum dot. It exhibits difficulties like biocompatibility, in vivo kinetics, and tumor target efficacy. It leads to acute and chronic toxicity. A reticuloendothelial system gets affected in presence of gold nanoparticles. So now we'll see the future challenges. The factors affecting the pharmacological properties need to be clarified. That long-term cytotoxicity effects must be studied. We should eliminate the inflammatory and immune response triggered by some polymer coatings, and that economics, that means the production as well as the application, the cost should be less.